الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد ولد آدم أجمعين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. As like we said, we take great pleasure in going through the book of Kitaab Ash-Shari'ah by the great Imam Abu Bakr al-Ajurri rahimahullah rahmatu wasi'ah. As these books are from the tremendous books of the Salaf, that if one wants to build his aqidah and his minhaj and his methodology as a Muslim, he goes to the likes of these books. It's just like our brother Anwar Wright that he mentioned and said that this book is a marji', it was from the masadir or the maraji'. It's from the references that Ahl Sunnah go back to in regards to Salafiyah, is in regards to the usul, in regards to one building up his foundation in Salafiyah. These books will build your foundation and your minhaj properly, not just in regards to what you'll find of i'tiqad, even though minhaj and aqidah is all one, and they're not divided amongst each other, they're the same thing. Some people think that it's all different. Aqidah, minhaj is separate. No, they're all tied in together. They're all one. And the way one clears or purifies his methodology is by reading these books. And from these books, from those who gave a tremendous commentary on this whole book and he completed it, was the great Imam Al-Hamil al-Liwa Jarh al-Ta'dil bil-Haq, the one who's carrying the banner of Jarh al-Ta'dil in truth, Imam Rabi' ibn Hadi Madkhali hafidhullah wa ra'ah wa atallallahu fi umrihi bil-a'mal as-salihah. So we do not have a lot of time in regards to going all through these chapters, as these chapters are very vital. They're not just important. You are in need of these type of books more than your food and drink. As we know, the great author of Imam Ahmed, and he even mentioned and said in this regard, he says, you'll find that knowledge and ilm is more important than your food and drink. He says, because food or drinking, he says, in order to want to maintain himself and to exist and continue his life, he can eat a little bit and still carry on, or he can still exist. He says, but as far as ilm, as far as knowledge, he says, for you need that for every affair of your life. You need knowledge for everything. So ilm, or these type of affairs in which we are now going to benefit from, inshallah, especially from the great words of Abu Bakr al-Ajurri, is from those books, like we said, where a Muslim needs more than his food and his drink, especially in these times of fitan. As we now know that we live in days and times which are times of trivial matters. We see atrocities all around us and affairs that are very reprehensible. Affairs that are so, if you want to consider it, different types of atrocities and catastrophes that we say or that we see. Not only of the matter of regards to life or different people dying. There's no doubt that's an atrocity. That's something that's tremendous and it's an affliction. Kids. But however, what is more vital is that one dies in a state where he has some type of deviancy in his belief system. That is the most ultimate, most dangerous of atrocities, and the most reprehensible of all matters. The most reprehensible is that you die with some type of affair of deviance in your belief system. Either being a non-Muslim, or where he goes to the state of disbelief in totality, or dying as a deviant Muslim. The person would think, why is it so dangerous to die in a state where he's a deviant? Because the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned that clearly, where he said, افترقت أمتي على 73 كلها في النار إلا واحدة كلها في النار. Where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the Sahihain, as we know the hadith, that my ummah divided into 73, all of them in hell. So that means if you have some type of what? Except all of them are in hell except one. So that means that if you have some type of discrepancy in your belief system, it is a type of fisk. It's a type of disobedience that will cause one to be in hell forever. Astaghfirullah. It will cause some type of deviance that will cause one to be in hell, to be purified. If that which is pertaining to his belief system doesn't remove him out the fold of Islam. If it takes him out the fold of Islam, that's something different. Then he'll be in hell forever. But if he dies in a state where he has some type of deviance in his belief system, but he's still in the fold of Islam, then that is a type of fisk, where he will be put in hell. Then he will have to be purified of that fisk, then he'll be brought out. But it's still dangerous to die with some type of deviation in your aqidah, because no one wants to be in the hellfire or the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what the great Imam Shaykh Muhammad Aman al-Jami, that he mentioned in one of his lessons in the Aqidah al-Wasitiyah, that he said that bid'ah is a type of fisk. Bid'ah is a type of fisk. It's a type of sin in which will come as a result of it. One can be in hell for a moment in time, if that deviance didn't take him out the fold of Islam. But if it took you where you have some type of discrepancy in your belief, then that fisk can land you in the hellfire, if it didn't remove you out the fold of Islam, where one will have to be purified of that deviance, and then he'll be brought out. So being from those deviant sects of the Muslims is not something that's easy and simple. Rather, it's of the utmost importance to know what is correct, so you can be what? Rightly guided, as far as being a Muslim upon uprightness in your belief system. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, like we said, and I mentioned the khutbah today, as I said, that we live in times that are very trivial, times that are very disturbing, times in which we see in which people are being put to test in every aspect, times where we see, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that what can poison one's heart is right at the hand of your fingertips. Brothers and sisters and kids, please, you have to keep it down. We can hear your voices. Times that we said that which can poison your heart is at now in your hands or in your fingertips. And you can cause fitna by just the press of a button, and the whole dunya and the whole world knows it. And it's all at your veil with something that's just in your pocket. That's how trivial affairs have become. So simple that a person can open up a screen or a window or a social media account and start poisoning his heart that quickly. It's all at the hands of his fingertips now. So not just in the affairs of what we said, which is the most ultimate test, what is from those tests, which is sins. As we know, sins is a type of catastrophe, no doubt. What is worse than that is that you are put to test in your religion. That is the most severest of all tests that the great Imam Muhammad al-Salih al-Uthaymeen mentioned and said. He said the greatest of all afflictions, he said at number one, the greatest of all afflictions is that you put to test in your religion. He said there's no affliction greater than that. He said that's greater than you losing your loved one. It's greater than you losing your wealth, or something of your business burning down, or something pertaining to something that you might have lost that is very valuable to you. Whether it be your car being stolen, or whether it be a loved one dying, whether it be your child dying, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve us and preserve them, or for them, or for your wife, or something that you would deem to be evil, what your heart will find as something heavy. There's nothing more heavier than you being put to trial and testing your religion. Number one, either leaving the fold of Islam, where you have some doubt in your religion, of you being Muslim. And brothers and sisters, as we're going to talk about from the afat, or from the most evilest of matters of bid'ah, and why the Salaf was so severe in warning against it, because bid'ah, it brings doubt in your religion. Bid'ah and innovation is sitting with them, brings doubt in your religion. It will inherit in your heart doubt. The only people who are protected from having doubt in their religion, or doubt within what they're upon, is the Salafi. That's it. Everyone of them deviated from this haqq. Where they deviated at will be a reason for them or causing them to have some type of doubt in what they're upon, as far as in Islam. As you'll find out, all the deviant sects in which Abu Bakr al-Ajurri, that he even condemned in his book, whether they be from Murji'ah or from the Qadariyah, all those deviant sects which came as a result of it, you'll find statements which, even from those who went to the extremes, started either making statements of disbelief or they started having doubt. Just like what happened with Jahm al-Safwan when he left off the Salah for what? 40 nights. Left off the Salah for 40 nights. And to the point where there's another author where it said about Jahm al-Safwan that he said, even one of the people of Ahl Kalam, where he even said to his own student, he says, do you know your Lord? He says, yes, of course. He says, Ihmad Rabbak. Do you know your Lord? He says, yes. This is him talking to his student. He says, praise Allah, praise your Lord for that. Basically, he's trying to say, I have some doubt in that. Praise the Lord, you have belief in that. I'm starting to get to a point where I'm having a little bit of doubt in that. That is the afa, or the discrepancy of bid'ah, that it brings some type of doubt. So for that reason, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, the only people who are protected is those who attain the proper knowledge in regards to what? Purifying the belief system. There's no one that is pure in this affair which we're talking about except Ahl Sunnah wa Salafi. Those who traverse it correctly and learn it properly. Everyone else from the Muslimun you'll find, even when they engage with so-called, and when they're not supposed to do it, those engagements with the Christians and the Jews and how they debate with them, you'll find that they either now expose themselves to some type of doubt because they can't debate with them because their aqeedah is messed up. Even though they're not supposed to debate with them at all, it's prohibited. But however, when you even look into their statements, they can't debate with anything because they're not what? They're soundly not grounded in what's the foundation of Islam, which is the belief system. Which comes as a result of it when you hear their statements, they either now start what? Start going along with it. Yeah, I don't agree with that, but that's my religion. Huh? Yeah, I don't agree with, I know that my religion says you can have this and have that and do this. Yeah, I don't agree with that either. But you Muslim? There's nothing in the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you should be able to now so-called water down or so-called compromise as a result of trying to please someone who's not upon your way. Everything that Allah ta'ala has legislated is haqq. But you don't understand the methodology of the Salaf. That's why you make these type of compromises. So for that reason, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, the fitan that we see, in which you'll find that the Prophet ﷺ that he mentioned and said, authentic hadith, إِنَّمَا السَّعِيدُ لَمَنْ جُنِّبَ الْفِتَنِ إِنَّمَا السَّعِيدُ لِمَنْ جُنِّبَ الْفِتَنِ. Verily the one who's successful, the one who's truly prosperous, is the one who Allah protects from trials and tribulations. And keeps him protected from him having some type of doubt in his religion. And the type of doubt, like we said, can happen of one of the three things, in which we see happen to all the Muslims over all the time since the 90s up to now. One of three things happened to them because they did not deep root themselves in these matters and they did not read these books. One of the three things happened. Number one, they either went back to kufr. They went back to being a Christian because they were worrying about subsidiary matters, either the branches, or they were too busy in delving into family matters and talking about it all the time. Family matters, family problems. Talking about that all the time. Soon as something didn't work out with your spouse, you went back to kufr again. My husband treated me badly, you went back to kufr. Or the woman that I was married to, you went back to kufr. This relationship didn't work out, so that's the reason why you went back to kufr, because you did not deep root, and put strongly and make firm within yourself these principles of which we're learning right now. So that's number one that either happens to them. Either they go back to kufr. That's number one. Number two, they either fall in some type of deviancy. As far as being from what? From the deviant sects, from the Muslims. So they either go back to kufr as a result of lack of knowledge in these matters, or number two, they either now drift with the currents of fitan in regards to the deviant sects from the Muslims. That's the second thing they fall into. What you find that a lot of people are now starting to do in this area, in the tri-state area specifically, from New Jersey especially, Philadelphia, and the list goes on, even in Delaware now. People are now starting to what? Starting to answer to these callers who come in the cloak of Salafiyah. They put now these little eloquent words that goes over their head, and then as a result of it, you're with them now. So that's a second type of catastrophe that what? That one is tested within his religion. You either go back to kufr, or you're Muslim now that is from the devious sects. And the third, even though it's of lesser level, but it's still dangerous, is being from a Muslim who's disobedient. He has no istiqamah, no uprightness, or disobedient. From one of those brothers that we used to see come to the masjid, do you see I'm out in the street? Yeah, what happened? What happened? What happened to you? I got caught up in some matters. Some things happen. You know what I mean? This got stuff going on. Why you don't come to the salat? What happened? What happened? Just things happen. Back out in the street again. How you protect yourself from falling into one of these three things? Or you see your sister, if you want to use now as examples of sister fully covered, overhead abaya, to the end of it. Next year, out with a weave on, out with tight jeans on. What happened, sister? Overhead abaya from top to bottom. Next year, back out on the street with a long weave in her hair, eyebrows plucked, makeup on, tight jeans, back out on the street. What happened? What happened to you? How do you protect yourself? That's why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned this hadith, إِنَّمَا السَّعِيدُ لَمَنْ جُنِبَ الْفِتَنِ. Verily the one who's successful and prosperous is the one who Allah has protected from fitan. How do you protect yourself? That is what we're going to speak about, inshaAllah. For verily, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, in regards to fitan that we know these days, I have not much voice left. In regards to fitan, trials and tribulations and atrocities that we're being tested with, we know that fitan comes in an image that is very beautified and adorned and embellished. It comes in an image that is very, very beautified, decorated. Because if it came in a manner that is somewhat ugly or vilified or something that you'll find repulsive, you wouldn't accept it. So that's why things in which you'll find that what will put confusion in you comes something decorated. There's no one from the shayateen, from the ins and the jinn, except that they have to come with some type of decorated speech to what? For you to be tricked, fooled, or beguiled. Some type of speech needs to be something that will what? Come out there and grab you. And the only way you could do it is to come with some type of eloquent, embellished, decorated speech. Then it what? It grabs you. It's like glitter. Something that's beautified, adorned when you look at it. Then it will make your heart captive. When you look at it, and it will take you, as a result of it, it will grab your mind. And once it has grabbed your mind, you have now what? Fell into it. Fell in its hands, which you become from those who are now involved with it, and likewise those who are spreading it and propagating it. And we're not just talking about disbelief. We're not just talking about being from the deviant sects. And we're not just also talking about being a Muslim that's weak in his religion. That is the most evilest of matters, as we know. The most evilest of afflictions. You notice I didn't say losing your money, using your wealth, and losing your loved ones. Because if one becomes patient and dies in that state, Allah will give him a reward if one of those things that he loses, if he contemplates and seeks the reward with Allah, then as a result of it, he'll be what? He received that reward, which will either be in this world and the hereafter. But the most evilest is what? You will never receive a reward if you die in the state of kufr. You never will receive a reward, especially if you die in a state which is from the deviant sects of the Muslims, where you deviate. or subjecting yourself to the will of Allah. Either He punishing you or overlooking you, which is the third category, which is something dangerous too. Or now, which is what we're facing in these days and times, where you now will find waves of fitan coming in regards to what takes place amongst Ahlul Sunnah, amongst the Salafiyin. Where now we know Shaitan is trying to now come with this type of image to take the people away from Salafiyah. Stuff that takes place amongst Ahlul Sunnah, which is something that is known in history, as we'll talk about inshallah. Something that is not new for anyone that have studied. A lot of these things that are taking place of those who have usul Salafiyah and have studied with the ulama, put their time in, they're not rocked and shift by what they see and hear. This is something that's known. It's supposed to happen. This is what Allah has written for what? To test the people, to see whether or not they remain firm. So what takes place and what we see amongst Ahlul Sunnah, which shows this actually, ya ma'ashal ikhwas, to show that there's still life left in Ahlul Sunnah. There's still life in us, inshallah. Whereas the deviant sects, you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has what? And the people of Kufr has already destroyed them. So there's no need now to what? Come and cause dissension or cause argumentation. There's no life left in them. So the only people that Shaitan is haris, he's very diligent to separating and causing bickering over, is Ahlul Sunnah. Because he knows they have the life left. He knows the life is still left in them. They're the awliya of Allah. So those who are the awliya of Allah, who is he going to attack first? The awliya of Allah is Ahlul Sunnah wa Salafiyin and Ahlul Tawheed. So he has to cause dissension amongst them and confusion, which is a sign that they have life in them. So which causes the what? So the people who will laugh at us from outside, from those who are upon the deviant sects, who laugh at us and say, see, y'all are arguing amongst yourselves. That's because Shaitan already destroyed you. As we'll bring the author of Ibn Abbas. And I'll bring it inshallah. Shaitan has now what? He's either put you in a state of being from the state of kufr. We're not talking about the Muslims who are still in the fold of Islam. Either being in a state of kufr or being a deviated Muslim. It's some type of discrepancy, his belief system. Shaitan has his portion over you. Who Shaitan focuses on more is Salafiyin, Ahl Haq. He knows that they have the life left in them. That the lifeline is still going strong. So now he comes at them and causes dissension amongst them the most. So the fact that you laugh at us from outside and in and say, that's why y'all arguing and bicker amongst yourselves, that's because Shaitan already did what he did to you. So the fact we're not happy about these fitan. However, when they come, the person has to know how to deal with it. And a person needs to know his lane, know his role, and know how to conduct when these type of affairs happen amongst Ahlul Sunnah. What to do when they come. The first thing, when these type of affairs comes amongst Ahlul Sunnah, the common folk need to keep their mouth shut. And those who are new in knowledge and are beginners and students of knowledge, keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. So, as we're going to bring the ath out, inshallah. Because now, once this type of fitan has started, once it's grabbed you, it's got you now. So once it's now, grabs at you, you start to now slip. As we know from the ad'iyah, the supplications of the Prophet ﷺ, that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ used to constantly ask, and I said this in the khutbah today, for al-afiyah. The Prophet ﷺ used to constantly encourage the Sahaba, and likewise us, as it is a sunnah that was established with them, it's a sunnah for us to constantly ask Allah ta'ala for al-afiyah. What is al-afiyah? That Allah pardon you and excuse you and protect you from you being tested in some type of manner that will cause you especially to either go back upon your heels when you go to the state of kufr, or you go from the deviant sex, or you become a Muslim that's weak in his obedience. For the best of what Allah gives the abd is al-afiyah, that He pardons him and protects him from certain tests that will rock him in his religion. That is the best of what Allah Ta'ala can give the slave. Pardoning you, excusing you, protecting you from something that will rock you in your religion. Something that will rock it up and stir it up until you become weak. And the Prophet ﷺ used to constantly make this in so many different supplications. From those supplications that we mentioned today, where the Prophet ﷺ used to make dua in the morning and evening. The Prophet ﷺ used to mention and say in this dua, and he never left it off in the morning and the evening. And he also used to tell the Sahaba to ask Allah constantly for al-afiyah. As comes in the hadith, or it comes in the narration of Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib. He says, "O Messenger of Allah, what is the best I can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" He says, "Salillah al-afiyah." He says, what is the best I can ask Allah? He said, ask Allah for al-afiyah. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He protect you from you being what? Put to trial and test until something of a tribulation afflicts you where it rocks you and it rocks your religion. We know that trials are going to come and waves of fitna are going to consistently and constantly come. It's not going to stop. As long as you exist in this dunya, shaitan is going to constantly what? Come with some type of test. The Prophet ﷺ in one narration, Abbas, Abdul Muttalib, and also Abdullah ibn Umar, and also likewise when he taught another Sahabis we'll talk about inshallah, where he constantly said to them, ask Allah for al-afiyah. Well, we know that dua in the morning, where the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned and said, the one who makes this dua in the morning and the evening, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to want for him to not be tested in these manners, or in these matters. Where the Prophet ﷺ said, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyah fi dunya wal-akhirah. Allahumma as'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyata fi dini wa dunyaya. Tafadhal wa astaghfir there. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله That's it. الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمد الوصيل الفضيلة وضاعف مقام محمود الذي وعده. طيب, we said that the Prophet ﷺ used to constantly make this dua in the morning and the evening, and he encouraged his ummah to do it. اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم أسألك العفو والعافية في ديني ودنياي وأهلي ومالي. اللهم استر عوراتي وآمن روعاتي واحفظني من بين يدي ومن خلفي وعن يميني وعن شمالي ومن فوقي وأعوذ بعظمتك أن أغتال من تحتي. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged that one from the adhkar in the morning, and I constantly advise our brothers and sisters consistently to constantly make all the supplications in the morning and evening. It's as if, and I'm not saying it is, it's as if these adhkar that the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to make in the morning and evening has become binding upon us due to so much fitan, due to so much trials and atrocities that we see going on around us, outside of us, in our ranks, out in our ranks, outside and around us from the non-Muslims, from the Muslims, from the deviant sects of course, and amongst Ahl Sunnah, from all the different tests that Allah has cast and thrown. How does one save himself? There are all these tests that is taking place in every which manner, in every which way. From those ways that you protect yourself is, like we said, al-ilm al-shar'i, as we know, attaining knowledge of usul salafiyah. To know people at the end of the day are the human beings. People are human beings. The religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfect. What Allah has legislated is absolutely perfect, with no doubt. What takes place amongst people is something else, which should not be a reason for you to doubt in Salafiyah whatsoever. As we'll talk about, inshallah. That's the way you learn of protecting yourself and fortifying yourself, is by learning what we're doing now. And the sooner you learn this, the better for you, and the better for your salvation. The more you are ignorant, you lack in learning these matters, the more you leave yourself open to be drift with the currents of fitan. Because there's a lot of currents out there, and you can be easily swept away. I've seen it happen to so many people since 1995. So many brothers, and I've seen so many faces change over each year. One person's in front of me, another person's there next year. What happened to so-and-so? He's back in the street again. What happened to sister so-and-so? Back in the street again. What happened to sister so-and-so? What happened to brother so-and-so? He's back in the church again. What happened to brother so-and-so? Oh, now he's from the Ansar cult. What happened to brother and sister so-and-so? Oh, he's with the Wadi Deen community now. What happened to so-and-so? Oh, he's with 15th Street, South Philly. What happened to so-and-so? Oh, he's with, the student that studied in Medina, in the Haram. Got his head twisted his head up. All these, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, I've seen it happen to so many people. So many currents of fitan has come and swept so many people away. And I've seen it happen to so many people. People who you think on your mind that it would never happen to, it happened to them. Certain people you kind of thought, and then you see the opposite. You see certain people that they're going in a way, and you think, oh, he would never be somebody to be disseminating knowledge, or somebody of a talib al-ilm. He's in the street too much. Allah guided his heart, and he became from the best of people. Allah is constantly replacing people every day. So it's not the fact that you come to Islam, and that is an ultimate achievement. What is the most ultimate achievement is that Allah keep your heart firm upon it, and keep you from deviating. and keep you from what? Being from what we just mentioned of those three matters. So for ya ma'ash al-ikhwat, fitan that's taken place and what we see. The Prophet ﷺ, from those ways that you protect yourself, is like we said, learning usul salafiyah. Going through the likes of the books of Kitaab Ash-Shari'ah by Abu Bakr al-Ajurri. This book is so important. If I was able to read some of it and its principles, it would blow your mind. Now, if you want to be truly a person that traverses upon minhaj al-salafi in the most clearest manner, these are the books that you teach from. And like the great Imam, Al-Alama Sheikh Ubaid ibn Sulaiman al-Jabiri, Hafidhullah wa Ra'ah, where he said a tremendous, profound statement at the end of his lecture today. And he said it with emphasis. He says, brothers and sisters, stay away from politics. Stay away from politics. We also know the profound statement of the great Imam al-Albani. He says, وَمِنَ السِّيَاسَةِ تَرْكُ السِّيَاسَةِ. The great profound statement of the great Imam Muhammad Nasruddin al-Albani. He says, from politics is to leave off politics. He says, from politics is to leave politics off. مِنَ السِّيَاسَةِ تَرْكُ السِّيَاسَةِ. So I think that one statement by Imam al-Albani and by the great Imam Sheikh Ubaid al-Jabiri puts all these other people who are so-called callers to rest for what they're doing. A lot of these callers that are what? Busy themselves with politics. For ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, another way you protect yourself from fitan is by you constantly make a dua in the morning and evening. All those supplications, like we said, we're not saying they're wajib. We know that the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to make them in a manner that is what? Highly recommended. But due to the severity of what we are in the state of affairs, how they are currently, is as if now it becomes binding upon us to make these supplications in the morning and evening. Due to how much fitan that is being what? All around us. For one, and I do my utmost to try to make these adhkar, to memorize all of them, and I do it in the morning and in the evening. Does the evening mean after Maghrib? No. Meaning after Asr. Asr is the when you start the adiyah of the evening. And you make these type of supplications. And if you notice in these supplications, it protects you from everything you can think of. From Allah keeping your heart firm. From Allah, and this is just one example, where the Prophet ﷺ said, "Oh Allah, I ask you for al-afu wal-afiyah. I ask you not to test me. And I ask you for forgiveness in this world and in the hereafter. And I ask you not to test me in my religion. I ask you al-afu, forgiveness and al-afiyah in my religion. Fi dini. And in my worldly matters. Not to put me test in the worldly matters. What do you mean put me to test in my worldly matters? Meaning that you will now resort to something haram. Something that Allah forbade. Something that Allah is angry with. Which will come as a result of it. You are now what? Put to test in your religion again. I ask you not to test me in my what? In my religion. Nor in my worldly matters. Nor in my family. No, it says, وَأَسْأَلُكَ الْعَفْوَ الْعَافِيَ فِي دِينِي وَدُنْيَايَ وَأَهْلِي وَمَالِي. And in my family and in my wealth. And, oh Allah, protect my awrah. Protect my shortcomings. Don't expose me. Cover up my shortcomings. Cover up what I do. Allahumma astur awrati wa amin rawati. Protect me from all that which gives me fear and terror and horror and fright. Protect me from the right and the left and from in front of me and behind me. To the end of the narration. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged that one make this in the morning and the evening. That's from the supplications. For these are from the supplications that allow one to be protected from fitan. Asking Allah to be with the Allah to what? To protect you from these matters. And we also know that the authentic narration of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Well, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud ibn Ghafil al-Hudali, Ibn Abd, a great Sahabi. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud ibn Ghafil al-Hudali. Where Abdullah ibn Mas'ud has said that tremendous dua They encourage that we also make Allahumma nas'aluka an yu'idana. نسأل الله يعيذنا من مضلات الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن. He says, oh Allah, we ask Him to give us refuge from مضلات الفتن, from those trials and tribulations that will lead one astray, that which is apparent and that which is in secret. So these are from the supplications that the Abd, especially in these days and times, that he has to ask Allah to always give him insight when things happen, to know how to conduct in it properly, so it would not be cause for him going astray. And being from those who are people of corruption, not people of rectification. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, in regards to these narrations, all these different types of trials that we just mentioned, in which the greatest of all trials, keep in mind, like we just said, is the trials and tribulation where you be confused in your salafiyah and in your religion. Those are the most wicked of all the matters. Or some type of fitna that will cause you to become rocked in your religion. But the most greatest of affairs, like we said, and the most horrific, the most greatest of tribulations, the most greatest of tribulations is when your religion is being put to test. Keep that in mind in all these what? In all circumstances. If Allah tested you in your wealth, Allah tested you in losing a loved one, praise Allah ta'ala, He did not put you to test in your religion. Praise Allah ta'ala, He did not put you to test in some type of affair where you deviated in your minhaj as-salafi. We know the narration in which the Prophet, the tremendous narration of Hasan al-Basri. When Hasan al-Basri, that he mentioned this tremendous narration where he said, you know the narrations on Zurayk ibn Abi Zurayk. He says, سمعت الحسن يقول إن هذه الفتنة إذا أقبلت عرفها كل عالم وإذا أدبرت عرفها كل جاهل. This narration is tremendous. But the great Imam al-Hasan al-Basri, that he said when trials and tribulation and catastrophes or afflictions, when they come, he says when they first start in the beginning of it, he says every person that possesses ilm sees it coming. Every alim who's a scholar see it coming. He says, and when the fitna, after it's destroyed so many people and swept so many people away with its currents, he says, then everyone who's ignorant now realizes it. Everyone who's ignorant realizes it now. So that's the reason why you'll find. That's the reason why you'll find that when fitan comes, the first of affairs that is binding upon us is to what? Ask the people of knowledge. Not to be from those who are muta'alim, who thinks that they are what? I know just as much as you do. As you'll find, that is a plague that has now afflicted all of our communities. Everybody's the same. Everybody knows as much as everybody. I know more than you. You'll find that now even the common folk go against the students of knowledge. Students of knowledge probably study 10 years, 20 years out of their life. 15 years. You think I might know a little bit of something? I know just as much as you. Going back to the people of knowledge. And then we'll, out of all the people who we now, not only just the students of knowledge are now degraded. Now the people of knowledge are degraded now. Sheikh Rabi', do we know what's going on here? That's how we speak now. That's how we degrade our ulama, our fathers. That's how we talk bad about them now. Sheikh Rabi', who's Sheikh Rabi'? That's how they talk about Sheikh Rabi' now. And just like I said in the khutbah today, if Abu Uwais was alive right now, Allah knows best. Abu Uwais would be like, what happened to you guys? The shaitan destroyed you now? You talk bad about our fathers like this now? That's what shaitan is taking you to now? You talk bad about Sheikh Rabi' now? Sheikh Rabi' now they're these, oh man, he ain't got no evidence, he ain't got no dalil for nothing. Ah man, you gotta listen to them. That's how you talk about your father now. This is where you at with it now? This is where we got into now? This is where we at with it now? And as far as those other people who were down 15th Street in New Jersey, they probably smacked them aside their head. I'm highly disappointed in you. You get the people to start voting now? Are you serious? You involve them in politics now? That's where we at with it? So I'm not even worried about them. I'm talking about people who's now coming in the cloak of Salafiyah. That's where we at with it now. Talk bad about Sheikh Rabi'. You talk bad about Sheikh Ubaid. What happened to you people? You lost your minds? That's the new thing. That's the new wave now. We accuse the ulama now of being two-faced. We could accuse the ulama now not caring about the state of the affairs of the people here because they're too busy eating dates and all this other stuff that they say. SubhanAllah, that's what it takes now. Does everybody now struggling in this room, we still eat coffee and dates every day, right or wrong? Despite of what we all going through. Stupid nonsense statements that the ignorant people lend their ear to. That has no relevancy, is baseless. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, these type of fitan is going to come. People are going to come with these type of statements. And for verily, when you'll find that when it comes, when a person dips inside where he's consumed, he enters inside these muddy waters, and he extends his hand to it, he will increase in what? Going deeper and deeper inside of it. Until you become consumed by it. Because we know certain matters that come up, especially what takes place amongst our communities. See, now people who are snakes, they come now. They come now amongst our ranks, keeping silent and looking around, seeing who can be the one that they can what? Put their poison into. They come into the masajid now looking around, waiting for the opportunity. You'll find in regards to these matters especially, they'll now start to what? Delve in these matters until they become consumed by it. Consumed by it, you'll find that a lot of people start talking about certain doubtful matters 4, 5, 6 times a day, 8 times a day. Can't keep it off one's tongue. When you see a person doing this, you know now he's consumed by fitna. That all you breathe and sleep and talk about is some specific matter. Constantly on the internet. Sa'afiqa. Yeah, I don't care about this 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. You're consumed. You're consumed by fitna now. Shaitan has opened up a madkhal, an entrance inside of your heart where he's penetrated and made you consumed. Wasting your time, that's all you talk about. Sa'afiqa. People who know what I'm talking about, they know what I'm talking about. Consumed. Not keeping your mouth shut and waiting for the affairs of Ahl Ilm to deal with it. For these fitna, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, once it's gathered someone's heart, and it's now, their heart becomes like a sponge to it. Until it gets down to the root of the heart, then it becomes what? It settles in it. Doesn't move out. Once it now has become deep rooted in your heart, Shaitan has now what? Put his flag down. Do you know that the Prophet ﷺ warned against these type of matters? There's so many different narrations. And we won't have time to cover all of them. We know that the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned and said, when these type of fitan come, it's incumbent upon everyone to firstly know they're what? They're lame. And everybody to be humble enough to know what is their position. In regards to the common folk, they keep their mouth shut until they're able to attain some type of beneficial knowledge from Ahl Ilm of knowing how to deal with it. But you don't indulge in it. And you don't be amongst people who circulate it, putting it in your groups. فَيَا مَعَشَ الْإِخْوَةِ. When the Prophet ﷺ talked about these type of matters, he prohibited that you extend your neck to even looking at it. Not to even extend to look at it. Especially if you know that you're a person that is going to be able to what? Reach out and grab you. For these type of fitan now, it's not only the fact that a person is scared that he might look It's even at your fingertips in your phone and in your screens and in these groups. Once you look at your eye and, ooh, that's captivating. Let me look at that. Let me read this. Ooh, mashallah, subhanallah. Hey, I'm going to press it to so-and-so. Let him look at it. Yeah, press it to so-and-so. Now you got him talking about it. Then you got his mind busy with it. Now you got everyone discussing it from the common folk, causing more confusion. When the Prophet ﷺ clearly said, don't even extend to look at it. Don't extend your hand from this type of prohibition that the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned in regards to fitan. You'll find that a lot of people now do not take by this proper prophetic guidance of the Prophet ﷺ, in which they will become from those who have now taken on these type of matters and engaged and indulged in them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the afiyah. As in regards to the ulama as-sunnah, then they clarify to the common folk, all of them, not to indulge in this fitna. Do not stick your nose in it. Do not stick your nose in everything until the point where you'll become sick and you'll be affected by it. Whereas you will now not be able to give or any type of tamyiz, any type of distinction between that which is a ra'ihah, a fragrance, or some type of smell or fragrance that might even be more repulsive than a dead body. And to that point, you're sitting right next to it, but you can't realize it. That fragrance is emanating from that thing due to the fact of how this fitna has penetrated your mind and messed it up. Not realizing that which is being soaked in your heart is more repulsive and more repugnant in its smell than it being right next to you. That is more disgusting even than the smell of a dead body. But due to the fact that this fitna has came over your eyesight and your insight, it's made you blind to the point where you're not able to distinguish it. Until you'll be from those who are what? Destroyed. In regards to what is connected with the great Imam, and which we'll speak about inshallah, as we'll speak about what happened with the great Imam. How much time is left until the Iqamah? I'm sorry. Say it again. 5 or 7 minutes. 5 or 7 minutes? 5 or 7 minutes? How much? I can't hear you. 5? 5. I think he said go ahead. You'll find, Ya Ma'ashul Ikhwan, in regards to what comes in at-tabaqat. For firstly, like we said, for number one, when these type of trials and tribulations come, everyone knows their place and they remain quiet, not to indulge in these matters. You'll find a statement of what happened with the great Imam al-Hasan al-Basri. That when it happened with Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah, that we know what happened to the Salaf of different trials and tribulations what took place with them. And I think what happened to them, what happened with them probably is not no comparison, what's going on with us. It's not comparison of what they went through. As they went through some serious trials and tribulations, were to the point where it even involved bloodshed and one's life being threatened. As we know, all the great Imams and the Imam from the Sunnah and the Salaf, all of them were put to great trial and test. All of them. From the Salihin. There's no one from the Awliya of Allah, from those who are upon Tawheed and Sunnah correctly, except Allah Ta'ala has put them to severe trials and tests. So these people did not reach the level of what they're upon by just mere seeking the knowledge. But however, Allah Ta'ala tested them with these type of trials in which we see today. But however, their trials, I think, was on a whole nother level. Even what happened with the great Imam al-Hasan al-Basri. Hasan al-Basri likewise was put to trial and test. As we know, the great Imam al-Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah, firstly, he was put to trial and test by what happened with the fitna of Ibn al-Ash'ath. And if you look in Tariq by the great Imam Ibn Kathir, where he put in his Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, where the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath was a fitna that was tremendous. Everybody knows the fitna of Hajjaj, right everyone? Hajjaj bin Yusuf al-Thaqafi. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, he says, إِنَّهُ سَيَخْرُجْ مِنْ ثَقِيفٍ كَذَّابٌ وَمُبِيرٌ. Verily there will emanate from Thaqif, a place called Thaqif, a person who loves bloodshed and a one who's a liar. So you'll find that a lot of the Sahaba has said those who the Prophet ﷺ was talking about was Mukhtar Abu Ubaid, who claimed prophethood. He was the kadhab, he was the liar. Because anyone that claims prophethood after the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, we know he's declared a liar. That is the position of number one, the Sahaba. That is the position number one of what Allah has laid down in His book. And what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ has mentioned in what he said. And what was the position of the Sahaba. Anyone that claimed nubuwah, prophethood after the Messenger of Allah, was declared a liar. And anyone who believed in him was declared the one who nullified his Islam. So in regards to Mukhtar Abu Ubaid, he was the kadhab that the Messenger of Allah was talking about. Then you have the next narration where he's talking about Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, the one who loves to shed blood. How is this connected to Hasan al-Basri? What happened was when the fitna broke off, and especially we know Hajjaj ibn Yusuf even killed Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Not only did he kill Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he killed him at the Kaaba. Killed him at the Kaaba. And he also what? Also crucified him. Hung him up for everyone to look at him. He hung him up and killed him. Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. Al-Thaqafi. Not only did he do that, of what he was known for killing over thousands and thousands of people. What will come to the mind of a person is what, everyone? This individual is so evil, we need to do away with him. We need to revolt. We need to rebel. We need to now go out in order to what? End this person's life. How evil can a person be? How can you kill Abdullah ibn Zubayr? How can you also likewise abuse the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, where he abused even Salam as it comes in the narration? Where is either narration where he says you either will come to me or I'll come to your house and I'll drag you by your hair out. There's another narration he even said, so you bring the narrations of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. So now keep in your mind everybody's emotions. Everybody's riled up in the room. Oh, man, subhanAllah, billah. Yeah, that's how you feel. That's your emotions. But what does the Kitaab and Sunnah tell you to do? This man killed over thousands and thousands of people. You know what the emotions led to? You know what it led to? It led to the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath. The emotions of what you feel led to the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath. Where he said, what you're feeling now, this man is so evil, we got to kill him now. It led to another fitna. Where Ibn Ash'ath was sent. He was sent to a place that was very cold. And he received orders from, I think it was Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. As it comes to Bidayah wa Nihaya. When he sent them out, Ibn Ash'ath, he was one of the soldiers who was part of his what? Part of his army. He sent Ibn Ash'ath out. Where he used to even abuse the army. And Hajjaj ibn Yusuf used to even abuse them. To the point he got fed up. Where he sent now, he wanted to become so-called emotionally riled up. Now we want to come back and kill you and the person who's under your what? Your jurisdiction from Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. He became a Khariji. So one fitna from what the Ummah was tested with, which came as a result of emotions, was another fitna. What does this have to do with Hasan al-Basri? Hasan al-Basri was called by Ibn Ash'ath. You need to come out with us. So when the people see you, they will rally to us. So to the point where it even says in the narration, and we'll stop here. This thing will stop, right? It's time to stop. You have to stop. Fine, I leave you guys to come for Fajr. All right, I'll just lead, just let narration, it'll stop. Just one narration. Listen to what it says when you thought of Ayyub. Sayyid Shabab Ahl Basra Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani. He says, قيل لابن الأشعث إن سرك يقتل حولك كما قتلوا حول جمل عائشة فأخرج الحسن فأرسل إليه فأكرهه. One narration it comes, it says, it was said to Ibn al-Ash'ath, verily your secret for people killing around you, mean to aid you, to kill for you. Just as they was killed of those who were during the fitna of Hawdaj, with the fitna of Aisha and the fitna of Jamal. What happened with our mother? He says, get Hassan al-Basri to come out with us. So he sent for him, and he forced him to come out. There was another narration that which comes in Ibn Sa'd in his Tabaqat, that even to the point where Ibn Ash'ath put him in cuffs, put him in restraints, and had him driven out in order for the other armies to see that he was with them. There was another narration by Abdullah ibn Aun, which we know was from the people who were close to Hassan al-Basri. He says, استبطأ الناس أيام ابن الأشعث فقالوا له أخرج هذا الشيخ يعني الحسن. قال ابن عون فنظرت إليه بين الجسرين عفوا وعليه عمامة سوداء. قال فغفلوا عنه فألقى نفسه في بعض تلك الأنهار حتى نجا منهم وكاد يهلك يومئذ. Listen to Al-Hasan al-Basri, he didn't want no part of this fitna. Al-Hasan al-Basri, as Ibn Aun that he mentioned says, when I looked at him, he says when Hasan al-Basri was between two bridges and he had a black turban on, he says, and when the people did not realize, when they were heedless, Hasan al-Basri threw himself over the bridge. He didn't kill himself. He threw himself over the bridge and some of the rivers so he could be safe from fitna. And we know from some of the people who was killed in that fitna was from the great scholars who was killed in the fitna Ibn Ash'ath. From them was it was Amr ibn Shurayhil, Sha'bi, the great Imam. A lot of people were killed in the fitna Ibn Ash'ath because of their emotions. Not him specifically. I'm talking about other people who was involved. Amr ibn Shurayhil, and his name was Sha'bi. He was killed in the fitna Ibn Ash'ath. Rahimahullah. So Ibn Aun says that Hasan al-Basri threw himself from the bridge because he wanted to be safe from fitna. He didn't want to be involved. He says, and he cast himself in some of the rivers until he was saved. He says he was about to what? Be killed on that particular day. And I'll stop here. Then after that, we'll go back to Ash-Shari'ah by Abu Bakr al-Ajuri, because what I'm going to read is in here. We'll stop here, inshallah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Any questions about the lesson? You want a burger? You want a cheeseburger? What, be that when you have? Sharia is 4 volumes. You need this in your library. Any book you don't get in the dunya, get this. Get that book. This book? Whoo! Woo, woo. That's a book of minhaj right there, brother.